Today we are going to start persuasion, and when we are going to discuss persuasion, we need to know that what it is, and as we can identify that you might have heard this word of persuasion in your daily life. So basically persuasion is that when you are going to convince another person or group of people onto something which you think is the right thing in that particular situation. So in the few more minutes you are going to learn about that what persuasion is, and it will be clear to you that what I am talking about right now. So when we are going towards the literal definition that what persuasion is and how it can be used in certain various dimensions. So persuasion is the process which is particularly being used to change the person's attitudes and behavior without any force or without any threatening, creating any sort of threat into that situation. We can say that people are used to be influenced by the communication, by the way of communication, and by the way other people are going to use some sort of techniques to convince other people. For example, in our everyday life, we used to come across multiple domains and multiple areas in which we are being influenced by others, and in which other people are being influenced by what we are saying. So until today, you might not know that what those strategies are which you were using unknowingly, and what are those things which were influencing you or which were influencing others and which affected their behaviors and their attitudes. So in persuasion we are going to discuss all those attitudes and behaviors and how they come across and how you are implementing on them throughout your own life, and how you can improve that technique of persuasion or influencing others through your communication in your daily life, and improve your professional and academic lives as well. So when we are talking about the change in the attitudes and behavior, then we can say that attitudes and behavior are not only influenced or manipulated by the techniques other people are using or the persuasion techniques you are using. They might be because of other verbal threats people used to have in their environments. They can be forced to do certain acts. For example, if someone is being punished to do something, if someone is being insulted to do something, then they are going to think about that they are being forced in doing that thing. And once it is their own free will to do something or to opt for certain decision, then it is what is we can say that it is the persuasion or the influencing power of the speaker or the communicator who has influenced the person to do certain thing. For example, if we talk about in our daily life, if someone is forced to not break the law, for example, not to drive the car on when the signal is red, that he is being forced because there is a traffic police warden standing over there at that signal. So he is being forced. He is not persuasive, or he is not persuaded to do that or to abide by that law. And in the same situation, when it's 2 o'clock at night and the person is driving and there is no one on the road, and the road is totally there is no traffic at all on the road, and every signal is not having any sort of traffic, any sort of car waiting over there, but still the person is going to stop over there and at the red signal and waiting for the signal to turn green. And now if he is stopping, he is being influenced, he is being persuaded by that moral value or by that idea that I have to stop over there even if no one is looking at me, or even if there is no punishment and there is no force. So he is being persuaded to do that thing. So that thing has influenced his behavior and his attitude as well. So when we talk about the behavior and attitude, so that is the thing that when both of them are in line, the person is going to think that he has to commit such sort of action or such sort of a commitment. So we can say that there are individual differences in persuasion and influencing power as well, and the communication and the ways on the modes of communication as well. So we can conclude from here that all the communications are not persuasive, but they are but they could be some sort of enjoyment activity or some sort of things which are designed for that particular event. So persuasion is only in that when it is changing your attitudes and behavior, and it is going to influence you in some ways. So persuasion often involves manipulating people. So if it is being used in manipulating the environment and manipulating people and manipulating others, then it is going to give a very false and unfaithful impression, and people are going to stop accepting that person in the longer run. So now let's move towards the theories. We are going to discuss two important theories over here. The first is attribution theory and the second is cognitive dissonance theory. When we are talking about the attribution theory, this theory tells us actually that people used to make their decisions about certain things by the people's behavior, by how other people are going to behave in that particular thing. For example, if we are talking about the action of someone, for example, if your friend is doing something in the class, if your friend is just entering in the classroom, so if he has waved you and you were in the middle of the class, and that class fellow of yours or that friend of yours just entered and they waved from the distance, or they smiled from the distance, or they even did not show any reaction from the distance, and they just settled down with someone else on some other bench, or they came and sit with you. So there are different judgments you are going to make about that particular behavior of that particular friend. So there are three criteria in which people used to judge other people's behavior. The first is distinctiveness, the second is consistency, and the third is consensus. So when we talk about the distinctiveness is that person, that how the person treats everyone, or are you different? For example, if that friend of yours has treated everyone the same way, that he has smiled or he has waved to the whole class, to the whole class, or to all of his friends, right? So you are going to judge his behavior on the distinctiveness. That if you are a group of 6 friends and 6 of you are sitting at different spots, and if he enters the classroom, he is going to wave at some, and he is going to smile at some, and he is not showing any sort of reactions or emotions towards you, then that is going to be the distinctiveness, that you are going to judge through distinctiveness, that if he is treating all his friends the same way, or you are in some different category for that. Then next is consistency, on which we used to judge other people's behavior. The consistency is that has a person always treated you in this way, or is this different, that every time he used to greet you whenever he enters the class, every day he comes or visits the university, so does he do that, or today is something different. So if it is the consistency of that particular behavior, that if the things are going accordingly every day, that he used to wave everyone and he used to ignore some people from his group, or if that is distinctiveness that has just happened today for you. So these are the criteria we are going to judge on that. And the third and the last one is consensus, that do other people do the same thing, or is this really different? So when we are talking about the consensus, this is something that do you agree, do you think that this is the right thing, that when the class is going on, he might have not got the chance to wave at you or to smile at you or to greet you, or the consensus could be that do other people also think that this has happened, if he has ignored you or if he has even greeted you, this is because of the situational factor, and people used to do certain things in the particular situation. So these are the three things, and we have applied on you as well. But now I am going to share a more elaborated example, which is going to more clarify your concept about these three things. For example, we talk about that Bob walks past you without saying hi. So he is some of the colleague or some friend we are talking about. When he is passing by, there are three things we are going to judge his behavior onto that. The first is distinctiveness. That is that this is how you are going to explain that how and why Bob did this to you, and why this will be different if he does this to everyone in the hall or just you. For example, he has just totally ignored you. If your friend has totally ignored you, so you are going to figure out the explanation that if this is something different which has happened to you, or he did not greeted anyone in the classroom. Then the second is consistency. If we are going to assess the consistency in the same situation, then your explanation as to why Bob did this will be different if he always say hi to you, or if you don't really know each other. Now consistency is going to be that if that is some friend who knows you really well and who greets you every day, so this is the consistency, that if he is going to do it every day, so you are going to expecting that today as well. So that is going to be the consistency. Or if he don't know you, so he is not going to greet you in any way, so that is going to be the consistency in that way. So the last thing is consensus. Whether you are in a college or in a Rishi city, Rishi area of 600, will that change that how you are going to explain the Bob's behavior, or you can replace the Bob's behavior with your own class fellow or a friend's behavior? The consensus is that when the class is going on, then the consensus says that it is very likely that the students are not going to disrupt other students who are already attending the class by greeting them in the middle of the class. So that is the consensus for that particular situation. But if there is a break in the class, so it is very much likely that if the person wants to, then he is going to meet everyone in the classroom who is a friend, who are friend of them, or they know them for longer. So I guess these three things are pretty much clear now. So now you can move towards the biases in the attribution. When we are discussing the biases are already, as we know, are some sort of fault or some sort of subjective assessment about certain situation. When we are discussing biases and attribution, the first thing is the fundamental attribution bias. When we are talking about and discussing the fundamental attribution bias, that is something very much related to your personal ideas and the personal judgments about certain things. And in fundamental attribution bias, the person is explaining the behavior of the other person is a tendency to overemphasize the personal causes and underemphasize the situational causes. We can identify by that when the person is identifying or explaining other person's behavior, they used to say that particular act done by him or that particular behavior acted out by him was done because of his personal causes, and they used to underemphasize the situational causes. For example, if one of your friends was unable to help you in some sort of assignment or in some sort of project, so it is very much likely that we are going to emphasize that he didn't do that because he was never interested to help me. He didn't do that because he tries to avoid helping other people, or he tries to avoid helping me in certain situations. So this is what we are doing, that you are overemphasizing the personal causes of the person. And when we are underemphasizing the situational cause, in the same situation we can say that he don't like helping me, and it is not about the deadline of other assignments that he was under the pressure of that thing. Or we can say that if he made the excuse of some family commitment, then you can say that he was never interested in helping me. Family commitment was not that much important, and it was not that much of the pressure of that moment, but he was personally not interested in helping me. So what you are doing is you are overemphasizing the personal causes of the person and not the situational causes. So these are the fundamental attribution bias we use to judge other people with these filters or with these biases. The second is actor-observer bias. This is totally opposite to fundamental attribution bias. In actor-observer bias, what we do is actually completely opposite. When we are doing something, when we are explaining our behavior, then what we do is that we overemphasize our situational causes and we underemphasize our personality or personal causes. For example, if you are unable to help someone in need of that particular project or the assignment, if we take the same example, then when you are making an excuse for that, then you can say that I really want to help you in that situation, because I was very much interested in helping you in that situation, and I am always available for you in that situation. But the situation was that much threatening that my family needed me at that time, and I had to take my family member to the doctor or something really serious. So you are creating the situation, and you are putting all the blame, or we can say that you are putting all the excuse on the situational factors, not on the personal factors, that you're not going to mention that I was not able to manage that situation with helping you and making a commitment with the family, or whatever that situational cause was, but you are going to overemphasize that situational cause was more threatening, more demanding, and personally you were not that much not in the intention of not helping other person. Then we talk about some defensive attribution. In that, there is self-serving bias. The self-serving bias is that we attribute our successes to our efforts. For example, if you are going to succeed in some exam or in some quiz, then it is very likely, and when you have prepared for that quiz or that paper or that exam in a group setting, so it is very much likely that you are going to attribute your success that I actually covered, you are going to say that I actually covered that portion with much more focus than the other part. So you are going to attribute your focus, you are going towards that was my attribute, that I was more focused in that part of the study, so I did that well. And the failures to the external factors, that when if some part of your quiz is not you didn't got it right, so you are going to make the excuse for that failure, that some of your class members are not that serious, so so it didn't help you to understand the whole concept very much easily, or other group members disturbed you at that time, so that is the cause that they made so much noise that you were unable to grasp that concept, or you were asked by your family to do some sort of household tasks, so that's why you were not that much focused. So these are all the external factors. So all the marks or the grades which are excluded from your quiz are because of the external factors, and all the good things you have done in your quiz or in your exam are because of your own efforts. So this is what is self-serving bias is. We used to actually do that in our daily life, and from learning these topics and these concepts, it will be very easy for you to identify what other examples could be. And in the just world hypothesis, the second defensive attribution is that just world hypothesis. In this assumption that bad things happen to the bad people and good things happen to the good people, we can say that this is also the trait or the bias of the adolescent age as well, because in adolescence, teenagers used to experience that they are not going to get any sort of serious diseases. They are not going to, if they are going to start drug use or they are going to start smoking, then all the bad things are not going to happen to them. All the bad consequences of those things are not going to happen to them. So this is a just one hypothesis, that I am not a bad person, so the bad things are not going to happen to me. For example, if we say about the present situation, so people sometimes say that we used to pray a lot, so we are not going to be punished for this situation, and that COVID-19 is not, we are not going to go through that situation because we are not the bad people. So with bad people this is going to happen. So this is what attribution bias is. And when we talk about that attribution bias occurs in the cultures, and they varies dramatically as well. For example, if we talk about the collectivistic and individualistic cultures, these are the two different cultures and have two different domains and have the two different principles on which they are working. So when we are discussing these two different cultures, so attribution has a different sort of play over here. For example, when we are talking about the individualistic cultures are those cultures which focus on the individuality of the person, on just an individual, not on the people as a collective, not on all people and on the group of people, or collectively talking about the collective people. So individualistic societies used to have individualistic mindset and collectivistic societies used to have collectivistic mindset. You can read the comparison of these two communities or these two cultures, which is highlighted over here. The people living in the individualistic culture used to overemphasize their own will, their own wishes, their own interests, their own likes and their own dislikes, while in the collectivist cultures they used to take everyone into their consideration. They used to think about everyone around them. They used to consider other people when they are deciding something, and they try to maintain and sustain their relationship with other people, and their goal is more towards relationship building rather than achieving the goal alone. So these are the differences, key differences among these two cultures. Next, let's move towards the cognitive dissonance theory. When we are talking about cognitive dissonance theory, it was introduced by Festinger in 1957, and it is concerned with the discrepancies. Now we are going to talk about the discrepancy in the attitudes and the behavior of the person and the thoughts as well. So cognitive, as we can say that cognitive dissonance is a discrepancy itself, and the cognitive dissonances, cognitions are the thoughts, thinking pattern and all the things. So when we are discussing a cognitive dissonance, we are talking about the discrepancy in the attitude, behaviors and the cognitions of the person. Dissonance is always we can say is an aversive motivational state, and the dissonance is a sort of confusion, or is a sort of conflict. When the person experiences any sort of dissonance, he or she, they just try to get out of that dissonance, and they make every effort to get out of that dissonance, because it is very much discomforting for them, because there is a constant conflict going on in there. It is the cognitive dissonance is used to increase when the attitudes and behaviors are important to self. For example, if you are involved in some personal decision making, then the cognitive dissonance is going to be really high, and if it is for the collectively for the major decision making, then it is not going to be that high. For example, if you are going to decide something for your class, then it is cognitive dissonance is not going to be that much high. If, for example, if you are deciding some class timing or some assignment or some project, so it is not going to be that high as much it is going to be high when you are choosing some things or deciding in your family, or you are making a decision for your family. Then cognitive dissonance is going to be more high, because that is more related to yourself, and that is going to directly affect you as a person of the family. So we can keep comparing that and if that family decision is going to be compared with something which is directly related to you, for example, you moving to some other city or you choosing a profession, so cognitive dissonance is going to be more high, because it is more personalized situation than a family decision. So this is how we can compare that how cognitive dissonance can be high and low. Dissonance actually creates a psychological tension, and people try to reduce that tension, so they try to solve that dissonance. To reduce dissonance, people can opt to sort of actions. The one is that they can change the behavior, or the second thing is they can change the cognition, or you can say they can change the thinking pattern or the thoughts of the person. When we are talking about the cognitive dissonance, this is going to depict it really well, that one thing is what the person's attitudes and behaviors are, and the other thing is what his cognitions are. So what he sees himself is totally different, and what he is actually is going to be different. So this is what the cognitive dissonance is. When we are talking about that decision making, sometimes dissonance is going to be increased, and sometimes that is resolved by increasing the liking. For example, if you are making a decision, dissonance can be resolved by increasing the liking for a chosen alternative. For example, if you want to opt some profession, and you are confused between two different professions. For example, we can talk about that you are confused in being a psychologist and you are confused in being an engineer. So these are the two different professions, and you are confused at which career choice is going to be better for you. So what you can do is you can resolve this by increasing the liking of the chosen alternative. For example, if you have chosen engineering as your best profession, so if there were 5 positive things that you wanted to be an engineer, and 4 or 5 positive things that you wanted to be a psychologist, so what you can do is to figure out some more positive things for engineering and increase its liking, and decrease the liking for the other category if you think that is not a good profession for you. So you can decrease the intensity of dissonance through your decision making. Then another example for cognitive dissonance and dissonant cognitions are that the attitude and behavior are going in the same direction, but the cognition is different, which is creating the conflict and the disturbance in your actions and behavior. For example, if you are talking about right here that if someone says that I like eating hot dogs, and what he do is he is going to follow that behavior, so his attitude and behavior are just in line. But what his cognition says that hot dogs are unhealthy, and that cognition is going to create the conflicting situation, constant conflicting situations in the mind of the person, and the person is going to stay confused about about these things. So now let's move towards that Braham in 1956 he was a researcher, and he did certain different experiments and certain different researches on the students, and he figured out that he asked the students to rank. They were given different products, and he asked the students to rank several common products, and were given choices of what they can keep between the two. So some of the groups were given the chance that they were just given one product, and some of the groups were given 2 products. In between them they had to choose that which product they want to keep in. So there the things which were figured out in that research, the high dissonance conditions were those conditions in which there were 2 closely ranked alternatives. For example, as we have discussed right now about a profession, now we can take another example. For example, if you have to choose, if you are in a mall and you are shopping for your own self, and you are buying a t-shirt or any sort of dress you want to buy, so in that vicinity, now the high dissonance condition will be that you want to buy a formal dress, and you have sorted out 2 formal dresses which are equally good for you, and you like them very much. So there is going to be the high dissonance in which you are unable to decide that which one is better than the other, and you like both of them equally, but you are unable to assess that much easily that which one is better than the other dress. So this is a high dissonance condition. In the low dissonance condition is that you have the choices between the high ranked and the low ranked alternatives. For example, if you are going in the same shop and you are going to buy some formal dress, and in that category they have just the formal dress you like is going to have just one size, and that suits you, and the other dress which you like in the formal category, that dress don't have the suitable size for you. So what you are left with the other dresses which were not that much ideal for you, so you are not in any sort of confusion or any sort of conflict. So it is going to be easy for you to choose the best possible option over here. So there is that is a low dissonance condition, because the dress you liked among those 2 best likely or ideally chosen dresses, the only one is available in your size and another is not available in your size, so dissonance is already resolved, and the third in the category is not going to meet the criteria, because already you are very much liking the dress which you have already chosen. So when we are talking about no dissonance condition, then in this you are not going to have any options in that. You are going to the shop and you like some dress and there is nothing compatible with that dress, so there is nothing, no clash between other products. So this is what the no dissonance condition as well. So this was the experiment as well, and they were asked, they were given different products and they were asked to either they were in the no dissonance condition, simply they were presented one product and they had to keep it, so there was no dissonance. Dissonance increased when there were closely related products and they had to choose among them, so there was a high dissonance. And when the low dissonance was experienced when there were high rank products and the low rank alternatives, but it was still easy for them to choose from them. When we are discussing cognitive dissonance, to make it further clear to you, you can consult this example as well. This is going to help you to understand what dissonance is. So now we are going towards some persuasion techniques you can use in your everyday life, in your professional life, in your academic life, which is going to help you to excel and to have more out of your influence in communication, and help you in certain different situations where you want to make your point across and you want to make the other person realize that how much valuable thing you are going to share, how much valuable your idea is, how much valuable your stances are. So these persuasion techniques are going to help you and going to make you more have the more influencing power and a good influencer in the communication. The first technique we are going to discuss over here is the foot in the door phenomena. The foot in the door, the logic behind that is that as you can relate it with the situation, that when you just stop the door from closing, you just put the foot in the door and that door is not going to close. We can say that the principle behind that is that once you want to ask for some request or you want something from the situation, what you can do is that if you have some request or a favor you want to be met in that particular situation, you are going to simply put the smaller request to make the bigger request. For example, the foot in the door is going to be the smaller request, with the help of which you are going to stopping the door from closing. And that could be that if you want to ask your friend to help you in some sort of assignment or in any sort of favor. For example, if you want your friend to help you in a major project, what you can do is that you can start with small favors by first putting the foot in the door, that you can ask that friend that do you know the deadline of that project. That is going to work. For example, that could work as a foot in the door, that class fellow of yours is going to tell you some details about the deadline. Then you can further ask him that have you completed your own assignment or your own project. So now you are asking for some information that how to do that, and now from how to do that, now you are going to make the larger request that can you help me in doing that. So can you help me in doing that is what you actually wanted, that you wanted his help in completing your own project, and that is much more likely than before. Than if you have directly asked the person, it was maybe a direct no answer, but now you have started some sort of communication and you are going there step by step. So he is listening to you and he is agreeing to you and committing to something. So committing to something is going to make him going into that particular way, and he is going to commit to the larger request. There are chances that he is going to commit to the larger request. Then the next phenomena is door in the face. The door in the face phenomena is something opposite to the first phenomena we have just covered. In door in the face is that you are going to make such a huge request that the person is surely going to say no. And once they are going to say no to your bigger request, then you already know that that person is unable to say no to every request of mine. So you are going to make a giant request or a huge request, and then that request is being followed by a smaller request, which is contrastingly easier and consistently easier than your previous request, and your goal was to attain that smaller request. For example, if you need some notes from a class fellow or something, some handouts from the class fellow, what you can do is that you can say that, can you send me the photocopies, or can you send me the hard copy of the notes? Then you already know that your friend is going to say no, that I cannot arrange the hard copy of the notes for you. So what you can do is, can you at least email me, or can you at least send me the soft copy of those notes? So it is going to be contrastingly easier for the person you are going to request, because if you are going to, you think that if you are going to ask them directly, there are chances that they are going to refuse that we are busy and we cannot send you even the soft copies of that thing. So if you are going to make a larger request, if they are going to say no, they are going to be socially bound or socially feel compelled that they have to agree to your other request. So this is one of the persuasion or influencing technique. Another technique is anchoring. In anchoring, what we do is that it is also the cognitive bias, because in some sort of decision making we used to compare the things. For example, if you are going for shopping, and in that category you want to buy some product, you are going to compare that product with other products to make a decision. And this technique is very much helpful and it has very significant effect, and it is very much effective in some situations. For example, if you want to if you are going to compare, if you are going to buy some car, or if you are going to buy a toothpaste, even if you are going to buy that toothpaste, you are going to compare that toothpaste is not even that much of the serious concern for you. So we can think about something bigger, for example a car maybe, or a mobile phone maybe. So if you are buying a mobile phone, then you are going to compare it with the similar products, with the similar things that which are offering the same sort of characteristics or same sort of specifications in those mobile phones. Then you are going to make your decision, and then you are trying to make a better decision into that situation. So as we are discussing anchoring, in anchoring actually the person is going to compare the two products, or he can compare the price of the current product. For example, if you are going to buy a mobile phone, which we were discussing right now, so if you are purchasing a mobile phone which is 35,000 which is of 35,000 rupees, and you ask the salesperson and you negotiate it, and the salesperson just reduce the price from 35 to 33 or 34,000. So you are going to feel grateful about that negotiation. You are going to come and you are going to go back really happy that you have bargained and you got the thing which was worth 35,000 into 34,000 and 36,000. So this is what that thing is, that actually the product might have cost 32,000 or 33,000, but you got it in, even still you got it in much more, but you are going to be happy because you are comparing the price with the 35,000 which was given by the salesperson initially. And the next technique is the commitment and consistency. When we are talking about the commitment and the consistency, that is that commitment, when the person is going to commit to some decision or some situation or the belief or the action, then the person is going to there are chances that he is going to be consistent in that. For example, if you make someone to commit to something, then they are going to follow that lead as well. In the picture as well, you can see that someone is promoting to have their kittens on, because they are in the need of the kittens to put them on the Mars for some sort of experiment. So how they have made them commit to something, and then how they have asked for something really big, and which is going to be followed with the consistency that they are going, if they have committed. For example, if someone has written the rates, for example, they have put down their prices. If you are going to buy some dress, or if you are going to some restaurant, so they used to show you some deals or some offers or some sales in which they are going to show that the price has been reduced, right? So if the price has been reduced and they have written, or if they have put some sort of their product into if they have put their products into some sections which are which are going to cost less. For example, if they have put the product which was the sale was around 2000 and they put that product mistakenly in the section around 1000, so what they are going to do, that if that is going to be a good brand and they want to save their name, then whatever they are going to do, if the person has found that in the section of 1000 rupee product, so what they are going to do is the shop is going to commit to that, because they have already made a commitment that whatever over here is going to be worth 1000. So whatever they are going to do is that they are keeping their stance, and they have to let they have to sell their product in the same price, because it is about their commitment and consistency as well, because once they have committed to something, they have to be consistent in that as well. And the same is true in that case as well, that if you want any sort of thing or any sort of favor from someone, from some friend or from your teacher as well, so what you can do is that first you can make them commit to that. For example, the assignment thing we have discussed earlier, in that the commitment and consistency could be used in that way, that do you think that if the teacher has given the individual assignments and you want the group assignments, so what you can do is to gather some more people and to influence some more people to have on your site, that you want to create some sort of majority on your site. What you are going to do is that you are going to influence other class fellows by saying that, by making them commit to whatever your idea is, that you are going to ask them that do you think that the individual assignments or the group assignments are going to be better, because group assignments are going to give you the chance to help each other out and to have more knowledge about certain topic, because there will be 4 to 5 different minds are going to work in that particular project. So what do you think, which is a better way of learning, or which is a better way to acquire more knowledge? So this is the speech you are going to give to your class fellows one by one, individually or in the group. So there are likely chances that they are going to say that yes, we need, because everyone is there to gain more knowledge and to have support of each other, so they might going to agree that the group assignments are better. So the next thing is, then let's talk to that particular course teacher and have our assignment as a group assignment. So this is what they are going to agree for that particular course as well, because already they have committed, so they are going to keep the consistency over there. Another technique, another persuasion technique, that is scarcity. The more the things are less in number or limited in number or less in number or are not in that much of the majority, the more chances are there that people are going to strive to get that thing. For example, in marketing strategy is that you might have seen a lot of billboards, a lot of promotions that only 2 pieces are left, only 2 seats are left for that particular workshop, only 5 seats are left for to seek that sort of admission. So scarcity actually promotes a psychological phenomena, and it creates the image that maybe time will run out and I am going to miss something which is in that much of the demand and which is very much less or limited in number. So this is what scarcity is, and it is going to promote you to go towards that particular situation or of that particular decision. The last persuasion technique we are going to discuss is reciprocation. Reciprocation, as we already know, is the equal give and take. Then equal give and take. When we are talking about that, then reciprocation is going to help you that if you want some favor from another person, what you can do is you can give them a gift, or you can do some sort of favor to them, which is actually in your control, or you are easy in doing that sort of favor or that sort of reward or gift or something. This gives this keeps and this makes the other person feel obliged towards you, grateful towards you, and they think that there is something they are supposed to do in return of that favor you have already done, in return of that reward you have already done. So reciprocation is going to help you that if you want something from someone else, you can give them, you can reward them, so there are more chances that the other person is in the view or is in the force to return that favor. They are going to agree to that request which you want to make. So we are done with today's topic of persuasion. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask them.